My name is Matt the Comic Guy. And today I'm going to explain to you all about the 8-year anniversary of Fanaf Face. Specifically, the timeline that I got to do. Now, let's start. William African, born in the mid to late 1940s. In the early 1950s, as a young lad, William Acton was abused by his father. And summing this abuse led him to changing into later on as a person who this has a disliking for other people. And so, in 1972, William Acton has business partners with Henry Elmley. And together they built a restaurant called Fredbear's Family Diner, with the main animatronics Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. This cost them a lot of money and decided to build another restaurant a year later, in 1973. After the success of Fredbear's Family Diner, they decided to build another restaurant a year later in 1973 called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. In it, they built a stage for three animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, as well as a fourth for Pirate's Cove, Foxy the Pirate. Now, this cost them a lot of money as well, but for some reason, this also had a phone call for a security guard who worked at the place until a 6 night. This phone call guy, who is a security guard, is obviously phone man who becomes known as Phone Guy. Since Phone Guy says that he worked at the office long before the FNAF 1 player. And he states it was another guard before him. We'll get to that later. Anyways, after a few nights of this, they decided that two employees had a spring lock failure for wearing the suits. And because of that, they became known as the Shadow Animatronics, Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie. But for some reason, this was not much of the problem. At the same time, however, in 1977, William Acton decided to build another restaurant called Chica's Party World, with the main star attraction being Chica. Also, it might also have J.J. Wolbit and an animatronic called Springard. But for some reason, this place was closed. For some reason, they were the disappearance of another person. And this human being controls the JJ animatronic, but not plan to kill. Oh no. She decided to plan to stay here until the end of time, till the end of the series. Well, not really. Until it was closed down. And in 1980, he decided to build another restaurant called Circus Baby's Pizza World. In it, we see the star Circus Baby, Balor, Funtime Freddy, Bon Bon, and Funtime Foxy. Oh, and the big bads and marines, but they're not that important. Anyways, according to the blueprints of this location, there were made to kidnap and capture children. But that didn't seem the problem with William Acton. Over time, William Acton's daughter, Elizabeth, constantly told her father that she wanted to go see Circus Baby, but the father denied each time. But she didn't listen and went up to the animatronic and got the scoop. And that's how she became to control Circus Baby, by her eyes turning blue to green. During around this time, Michael and William Afton and his wife started to get into an argument of Michael Afton and Ed. Of course, this was before the wisdom of Afton incident. So before this time, they started having argument of Michael Afton, and for some reason the wife left and drove away, and that's my explanation of why we never see the mother in any of the games. Anyways, after this tension, Circus Baby's Pizza World was closed down, and due to so, during William Acton faking a gas leaks. Anyways, in 1983, after some reason, Mike Acton wears a foxy mask to scare his brother, Evan Afton, also known as the Crying Child in the game. For some reason, that caused him to have nightmares. Nightmares of memories of all those days his brother had bullied him. And so, after 8 days of him, few days of him being bullied, it was time that he was tortured enough that him and his bullied friends lifted him up and set him to the jaws of Fredbear. But because the animatronics can see so much moisture, it would cause a spring-lock failure. And so, that's what happened with the infamous bite of 83. Michael Afton, the crying child, went into the coma, and Michael Afton felt sorry for killing his brother. He didn't know what to do after he knew. Anyways, after this, in 1985, William Afton had felt grief for losing 2 of his kids, Evan Afton and Elizabeth Afton. He knew that something he had to do something about it. So, in order to bring his kids to life, he had to wear the spring body suit left in the back room. And so, by his murder spree, he killed 5 other kids. And then around this time, Henry wanted to build the puppet to protect his daughter. But for some reason, he'd end up killing her as well. He drove by his car outside of the restaurant and ended up killing Charlie, who goes on to control the puppet. After a while, the puppet has seen the haunted souls of the 5 victims and put them inside the Freddy animatronics. Gabriel and Freddy, Jeremy and Susie and Bonnie and Chica, Fritz and Foxy and Cassie and Fredbear, now known as Golden Freddy. And so, with that, the animatronics were haunted, controlled by beings who were killed in the same time. But they were not. Then, after that, he gave them a plan to have revenge on William Afton. After that, the animatronics of Freddy Fazbear's start to stink. And, of course, they don't know why. But because of this, the place had to be shut down for investigation. They caught William Afton but let him go after they didn't find any evidence of him being the killer. And so, this story continues. 2 years later, in 1987, with a new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The night guard, Jeremy Fitzgerald, had to work there for a few nights. They had to build new animatronics, toy versions of the same characters, Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, and then they had to build new animatronic Funtime Foxy, but not this location's Funtime Foxy. This one was torn apart by children and sent into a kid's cove. In this location, the infamous By 87 happened when Mangle had bitten up Jeremy's frontal lobe. And after that, the place was closed down. The Winter animatronics, which referred in this game by the original animatronics, was rebuilt and sent to another Freddy Fazbear's for relocation. By 1993, during the same time, Michael Afton had worked there by going to the alias Mike Smith. He had worked there for a few nights until he finished up with the job. Well, Whit Afton had told him to find his sister. And so, in the same time, William Afton had disassembled or destroyed the animatronics one by one. And then, after witnessing the souls of his victims, he decided to hide in a spring bodysuit. But due to the moisture, it was raining, and William Afton was crushed inside the spring-locked suit until years later. But still, he was sealed in the wall. At that, Michael Afton had remembered to save his sister. So in mid-90s to early 2000s, he had to go down there to Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals to save his sister to survive a few nights again. But this time, the animatronics had merged and become entered. And so, at this point, he went to the scoop room, got Scoop, and its innards got replaced by innards. They went to as a disguise, but unfortunately for them, the suit was rotting, and so it became purple and spewed out enter. But for some reason, he's still alive. Still, he says to his father he's gonna come find him, which leads to 2023, which is next year, not kidding, into Fazbear's Fright. And so, with this new location, William Afton, now as Springtrap, is trying to hunt his son. But in prize to him, he survives again a few nights and burns the building to the ground. William Afton, now Springtrap, escapes the burned building. Entered, and Circus Baby had a fight, and the both characters became separate identities. Aaron became Molten Freddy, and Circus Baby became Scrap Baby. William Afton, now Scrap Chad, but still around. Henry had built a animatronic called Lefty and successfully captured the puppet. Afton also worked at this place. For some reason, after Salvage Nights, Henry decided that to send them all back, to send the souls free, to burn them. And so he did. He burned down the place. It was no longer there. But William was still alive. Even though then we got to the happiest day minigame, where all the souls, where all the victims that William had killed has finally put to rest, including Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy. But William could not put to rest. He was still out there. This time, he was sentient killed. And Fazbear Entertainment found this sentient killed and it came before a glitch trap. And this is where Help Wanted happens. By the way, a VR texter called Vanessa follows Glitch Trap and finally joins him. She becomes known as Vanny, and this is where security breach happens. Someone named Gregory decides to hide inside of Grimlock Freddy, the new animatronic built for the Pixelplex. They're surviving inside the game. Luckily, though, he gets destroyed Grandma Chica, Roxanne Wolf, and Montgomery Gear to upgrade Freddy. After this upgrade, though, he continues on into the Pixelplex, where he survives against a Moon and Sun animatronic, destroys the rest of the animatronics, and then finally goes down the elevator to face against Afton. Gregory has to push a button to burn him alive, and finally destroy the Pixelplex. The Blob captures William Afton and finally ends his reign. Things are good. Things are finally over for the FNAF series. For now. And that was my entire FNAF timeline remade. I hope you like it. Like and subscribe. See you next video on the 10th and on the 14th and 15th for a few more videos. Bye.